Hi, everyone. Thanks for joining us today for the next session in our Elevate series. Today's topic is Subscription Foundations, Understanding Throughput, Performance, and Scale. I'm Mary Christensen, the Director of Product Marketing, and with me is Nathan Shin, a co-founder of BillingPlatform and our Chief Strategy Officer. Nathan has over 20 years of experience in high-volume enterprise information systems, and he's the mastermind behind the product and platform. So throughput, performance, and scale have been top of mind for Nathan from the beginning. Thanks for being with us today, Nathan.
It's my pleasure, Mary. I will try to live up to my mastermind introduction.
I'm sure you will. So an ancient Greek philosopher once said, "Change is the only constant in life." Today, this phrase couldn't be more appropriate, especially given the increasing speed and volume of change from the digital world we live in. And as you can imagine, advancements in technology are the reason performance and scale have to be considered if you're a digital or a global company. Some of the obvious drivers of these changes include the internet, high-speed networks, cloud computing, AI and ML, e-commerce and social networking, just to name a few. Companies that can't keep up with the pace of change and adapt with innovation often find themselves floundering. There are quite a few examples of famous market-leading companies that failed to innovate and have fallen victim to those who did. Some of those examples include Yellow Cab and really taxi cabs in general. They've fallen victim to Uber and Lyft, all because of a smartphone app. Airbnb is disrupting the hotel industry by offering more options for lodging in more places. After Netflix disrupted the video and media industry, Blockbuster went from having more than 9,000 brick-and-mortar stores to now just one. And online e-commerce giant Amazon was the downfall of many bookstores, and digital music downloads replaced compact discs. And with AI and ML, you now get automated recommendations on what to watch, what to read, or what to listen to next. AI is also disrupting the call center industry with chatbots and automated messaging. Nathan, want to jump in here and give us your view on things?
Sure. Yeah. We're remarkable as a species. We can create and do anything, and the pace of change is constantly accelerating as a result. So as you get advances in technology, you just have more possibilities for incumbents to come in and leverage those to create brand new businesses or to completely invade, long standing industries like the ones mentioned above. So it's quite a phenomena, and it's here. It's real. It's here to stay, and it's only going to get more advanced and at a faster rate.
And how are these changes impacting performance and scale?
Well, they rely very much on high volume and very fast processing capabilities. So, for example, if you take AI and machine learning, it really leverages just a massive amount of data that we've been able to acquire and store over the years since we've started, which aren't very many if you look at the big picture, right? But over the last, 10, even 20 years, we've been able to really kind of capture tons and tons of data. So the ability to store that data and then quickly access it gives rise to the ability to create machine learning algorithms that can take that data and really come to conclusions from it that we wouldn't normally be able to with our brains, and with the processing power and the advances in networking speed. There's just so much that can be done in very little time with tons and tons of data. You just have immense possibility. And if you take AI and ML, for example, the capabilities are actually kind of frightening.
Yeah, I think there's way too much known about everyone and everything that's going on these days. So how do you stay on top of these changes without falling to the fate of the companies we just talked about? Forrester Research recently conducted a survey of 38 billing vendors to understand what they see as the most noteworthy trends in the market. These results all support the idea of keeping companies relevant. And these responses are likely not a surprise. The first two are about the way companies do business, and the other three are about the systems to support a business. The successful companies we highlighted on the previous slide have all offered new ways to buy their products and services. I mean, these days, who would want to drive to a Blockbuster store to get a video when instead, with a subscription to Netflix, you can watch a movie on demand? That also leads to a better customer experience. So it's no surprise that user centricity and user empowerment came in second. And the next few are all about the systems used to support a business. Because at the end of the day, to accomplish any of these things, it's the systems that provide the ability to pivot and change direction on a dime and the ability to scale as you grow. So taking all of that into account, for successful enterprise monetization, we believe there are three things that help to set a business apart. The first is a platform approach. This type of business systems architecture offers a low-code environment, so business users, not IT or professional services, are able to deliver and process new business models and monetization strategies quickly and easily. The second is a cloud architecture. That allows companies to have the storage and computing power available to scale and grow without constraints. And third are ecosystem extensions. We know most companies use multiple tools to manage their business. So along with pre-built connectors to common software solutions, a fully published list of APIs is critical for system integration to other systems. When combined, you have the basis for supporting successful enterprise monetization. But that's not all you need to succeed. So to help round out the discussion on why throughput, performance, and scale are defining attributes of enterprise-grade information systems, let's bring Nathan back in.
Yeah, so I mean, let's just kind of lay the foundation for enterprise scale. It's different than what you may think when you're not in the enterprise world, and of course, neck deep as we are in something like back office monetization systems. So if you take for example, a enterprise banking company that you never see, as we've mentioned really popular examples of business to consumer type organizations, but the business to business organizations, they're billion-dollar enterprise companies that you just don't really hear about because you're not knowingly interacting with those. So, you know, when you're dealing with that kind of access, you're really dealing with billions of transactions daily, and those transactions are across your user interface. For example, you have many users. If you're like Netflix, you have millions of users making selections on your user interface. Or if you're an online portal, or you sell, or you have a complete e-commerce system like Amazon, you have multiple millions of users simultaneously accessing your system all the time. That's one kind of interface into your system. The other kind of interface is your API. The API is really a machine's ability to interact with your system. And so that opens it up to a much broader ecosystem, both within your enterprise, also externally on the outside world. So having the ability to handle millions, if not billions, of transactions on a daily basis with your API becomes really important to an enterprise. And then, of course, the database. So a database is where everything lives for business. Databases are underpinning everything in the business world today, and even in the consumer world. So the ability to kind of store and access tons and tons of records as part of your business is critical. I mean, just terabytes of data are used all the time in today's world. So as an enterprise, you're really focused on how to scale that in a way that's very meaningful, and then also the ability then to take that infrastructure and then be able to be flexible with it, flexible enough so that you don't get eaten alive like Yellow Cab, or you don't get eaten alive like Blockbuster, so that you can innovate, is critical today, much more so than it's ever been. So let's take an example of a large financial services organization. Since we're in the billing and monetization space, we have exposure to this, and it's very, very important that we support a level of scale that responds to meaningful amount of business. So if you take this particular example, you have 500,000 business customers, which really means that we need to produce 500,000 plus invoices every month in this case. To calculate and sum the details on that invoice, right, you're going to have about 2 billion usage transactions, and you'll have to automatically generate charges for over 500,000 subscriptions. So these 500,000 customers may have, a subscription to this service. They obviously have usage transactions. So the volume becomes very significant, and it's in the billions. It could be the billions per day, per week, per month. And in this case, it really translates to 50,000 plus records per second. If we want to be able to actually close and deliver invoices in under 15 hours, which sounds like a really long time, but when you get into this kind of scale, it's a challenge. So 50,000 plus records per second, 200 plus for rating and mediation, 200 plus transactions per second for subscription and fee processing. For RevRec and General Ledger, you've got 170 plus GL transactions per second, and invoice PDF generation is at about 85 plus files per second. So all of this data leads up to your invoice that you need to deliver to your customer. And these things can happen in parallel. Some of these things become dependencies on each other. It's not trivial. So this is the straight line processing for the monetization of a service for this particular large financial services organization. That's processing in a straight line. That's just sheer processing power, and that requires a specialized kind of infrastructure to make that happen. And in the past, that's been big mainframe systems, large in-house data centers for large corporations that handle all of that processing and starts and the scale. But in this day and age, just being able to process transactions in a straight line isn't enough to keep you in business, as we've seen previously in the slides that we've already discussed. You really have to have the ability to take that processing and be able to apply it in different contexts, and be able to do that in a very short period of time in order to be able to scale functionally to meet new demands, to satisfy new opportunities, to be able to handle things like acquisitions and mergers, and be able to have a meaningful system that your customers, your business customers, your consumers can access and have access to in real time, and then also be able to capture and report on that data in a meaningful way. So that requires the ability to extend your data model, number one. That's kind of the foundation, as I mentioned before, of any business application, is the data model. That's like having your, all of your knowledge in your mind. That your data model is that. And without the ability to extend it, you can't, to use the analogy, learn new things, store new information about things, be able to have that information available in your user interface. So if you're taking a data model extension, that's one thing, but then the ability to make that accessible to your end users in a easy, meaningful, productive way you have to have the ability to really modify your user interface to meet your business productivity needs with your end user community. Also, automated processes. Not all of this stuff is something that a user is going to be able to point and click and and modify and save in any kind of a meaningful way to support demand. So a lot of processes now you'll need to automate. It's not acceptable to just have a bunch of different transient manual processes in the way of your progress, in the way of even something like an invoicing cycle, as we walked through before. You're going to need to automate a lot of things so that you don't have to have people making decisions, making mistakes, taking a long time, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, through your user interface. So your user interface has to be able to extend itself to be as productive as possible for those things that require human interaction. But for the most part, you need to be able to automate a lot of those things and have seamless operation and functionality of a lot of your business processes happening without human intervention. Then in line with all of this is the ability to extend your API on top of your data model. So how do other systems interact with the data that you house, store, and organize in your system? How can you be a citizen of an ever-expanding ecosystem that's out there? For example, if we talk about machine learning and AI, if you think that you have to sit and write your own machine learning algorithms and your own artificial intelligence software, you're going to be dwarfed by the advances that have already happened in that realm. And if you can't use your APIs and other APIs in a very flexible way, you can't leverage the machine learning and artificial intelligence algorithms that already exist there in open infrastructures. So your API is really important, not only for other systems to be able to integrate with you, but for you to reach out and become a part of a extended technological ecosystem that's growing much, much faster than I'm sure your own internal ecosystem is. And then, of course, the ability to report on all of this, both for compliance as well as for other types of informational purposes. The ability to have an advanced extended data model really gives rise to the ability to also report on that information in a meaningful way and in a flexible way. I mean, what we're seeing is that it's not just a matter of maintaining a status quo. It's just not something that enterprises are focused on. I mean, even if you look at this graph, what we're saying here is companies that are traditional companies that are not focused on the future are looking at the ability to extend their information systems and have that flexibility in meaningful ways. But if you're looking across to future fit organizations, and future fit means, hey, we're thinking about the future. We are focused on the future. We're the Uber of today, right? Or the Uber of tomorrow, right? Future fit organizations are thinking about this even more, but everybody is looking at having open, scalable, adaptive platforms. And those things are becoming much more important. So if we wind this back to our scale and performance conversation, really the functional scale aspects of this are becoming front and center for even traditional, much less modern and future fit companies. So the bottom line, if you have limits to your ability to scale functionally, you're really embracing limits to your company's ability to efficiently innovate. So at the end of the day, in today's world, innovation boils down to not only good ideas, right? having great creativity, but understanding how to leverage technology to bring those great ideas to life. And without your system's ability to adapt very rapidly and be flexible, you're always going to be late in your ability to deliver that innovation to the world and actually monetize and in some cases keep pace with demands created by innovation today.
Thanks, Nathan. Those are really great lessons to take in and understand and really see how you can take your solutions to the next level by taking those considerations in mind. So now if you'll indulge me for just a minute, earlier this year, Forrester Research published their wave on SaaS recurring billing solutions. And after a thorough review of a number of vendors in the space that provide cloud-based billing systems, they ranked BillingPlatform as the leader. We received the highest possible scores in a number of categories that support the ability to deliver diversified business models and offer a platform approach and a cloud-based architecture to support the successful monetization for today's modern enterprises. We're very proud of this acknowledgement and happy to share the report with you. If you'd like to read the entire report, shoot me an email and I will send you a link. Also, if you'd like to learn more about the importance of throughput, performance, and scale, or have any questions about what was presented today, please contact us. With that, thanks for joining us today, and we hope to see you at a future Elevate series webinar. Have a good day.